are now tuned in to United Football Media's Tell Me About It, the number one wraparound show from the number one spring football media conglomerate, the number one spring football league, the UFL. Man, what a week one. We are riding high here on this show. We're going to try and keep it a little bit, we're going to save the detailed celebration and smoke talking and things like that for the DC Defender show coming up later on this week with me and Tay. Obviously, we are feeling some type of way about what we just saw, but I think we'll start there. And, I was thinking about how am I going to approach this opening rundown. I said, well, arguably the biggest upset of the week, but it's not arguably, because Vegas and some of y'all out there were so disrespectful that this line had been gone all the way up to plus 7.5 for DC. So Birmingham was favored by 7.5. Home field advantages were 3. So really, people in Vegas, people taking these bets, thought that the Birmingham Stallions were 10 points better than the DC Defenders. 10 is about the number of sacks that the DC Defenders defense got today. I believe it was 7 or 8. We will have the real numbers. We will have the PVFF scores. We will have everything for you on this monumental game later on this week. Me and Tay, DC Defender Show, here on United Football Media. What did I say on that very show? I said, you know what? If you guys just come out, bring the physicality, bring the attitude, bring everything that we know that this DC Defenders team is supposed to bring, everything will work out. And that's exactly what happened. DC won with physicality. Birmingham looked very disgruntled, looked shocked, looked surprised that DC was taking it to them and not just rolling over. Big time win. DC Defenders win 18-11. Pretty shocking result. We don't have the box scores up just yet because the game just started, because we hop on here and we give you the fresh and hot information. I know my guy Ty Scott was out there big time getting it done. Tiamu had a pretty solid passing game. There was a couple of plays that I'm going to go over on the show later on this week that were upsetting to me. But he did good. The DC Defender, it looked just the way it was supposed to look on a few drives where we were, the DC Defenders were wearing them out. Quick to the line, fast tempo, running the ball, pushing them back. That is the way DC Defenders football looked when it was working, when they went to the championship. And that's how it went today. They are right up there, right where they're supposed to be now. The United Football Media power rankings are still being compiled. They'll probably be out. They'll be out by the time you watch the show. I see most people had them in their top 3, and I think that's where they need to be. We'll discuss the other 2 teams that might be on top of them here in a minute. Biggest upset of the weekend, DC Defenders taking it to gut shots all day, body work all day on the 3-time defending champions, Birmingham Stallions. Thoughts, Tay?
Yeah, this is a great game to watch. It was a lot of field goals at first,
Yeah, I will say that too. It was low scoring, but this was a great game. It was like a heavyweight bout.
Yeah, so they traded field goals, and then the Stallions got tired of it, put a touchdown on the board. Then the Defenders returned, and the Stallions didn't really score after that, and it was just Defenders, like hold the lead. So this is a great game. Neither quarterback really played well. I guess it was enough. The run game for the Stallions was pretty good. It was Magoo. He just running all over the place. That was really their only offense. They couldn't really get it going really anywhere else, which is great. You could say they got dominated. And they only scored the reigning champions only scored 11 points.
Scored 11 points with all these guys coming back, with all the running backs coming back, with their skill players coming back, with Skip Holtz back, with the man that we were led to believe was USFL John Elway back there, getting shut down, scoring 11 points as 7.5 point favorites. monumental the performance by this DC Defenders defense. Even if they were driving me nuts a little bit at the end by like, come on, guys. The only thing that they're doing successfully is scrambling with Magoo. Maybe put a spy on him. Maybe play some contain with some late pressure. Like I said, we'll go over the finer details of this later on this week on the DC Defender Show. Drew, what do you think, man?
I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't have the belief that the Defenders could do it, but I was more so concerned about their offense than anything. And I think still some issues with the offense going forward. But I mean, when you go against the defending champions and play like they played, there's really not much you can say. I think I agree with Tay. It was a great game to watch. Definitely my favorite game to watch this weekend, which probably isn't really saying much considering how some of those games turned out. But good game. Defenders got it done. Rowdy Audi looked amazing to me. I thought it looked great crowd. I think they said like 12, 13,000 turned out. Forgot the exact number.
And it sounded like more. Like,
so
kudos to that crowd. Kudos to you guys. It was loud in there. You could hear the chants, defense. You could hear a lot of stuff going on. It was pretty much the only game in the opening weekend where the crowd was notable. You could hear it. It was loud as hell. Amazing stuff on all levels. For the rest of it, I would say there's amazing stuff on something. And by the way, I do want to say, I believe Tay was the only one that picked the DC Defenders to win this game. Speaking of things that Tay was right on, it is Tay Day today because he tried to tell you guys about Anthony Brown and that Houston Roughnecks situation. And it very much came to fruition because on the scale of cheeks, it was Megan the Stallion out there for Houston Roughnecks offense. Anthony Brown, no-go. Nolan Henderson ended up being the primary spark of the offense when he got in the game later on. Was far too gone. The change was made far too late. Roughnecks rundown. I'm sure our guy Ace is going to break down all of this stuff. There was a timeout, some timeout shenanigans that happened at the end of the half where the Roughnecks took an unnecessary timeout and saved time for the Battlehawks to get the ball back and go back down and score again. There was a lot on display for the Roughnecks, and none of it was good. On the other hand, the Battlehawks very much fulfilled everything that we said that they were going to be. We told you guys about Manny Wilkins, very toolsy, and he looked like it. Over 250 total yards, 2 touchdowns. He was running the ball. He was throwing the ball. I need him to stop lowering his head and his shoulder at the end of runs like he was, because we don't need you getting hurt there, Manny Wilkins. But arm looked great. Great command of the offense. The Battlehawks offensive line and running game was completely out of control in this game. Well over 200 yards total rushing, almost 300 if you count in Manny Wilkins, but Jacob Sailors, 98 yards, 6 yards a carry, a touchdown. Jovan Howard, 115 on just 13 carries, touchdown. He had a house call, 74 yards. These guys were getting it, and they were active in the passing game as well. The running backs. Howard was a very good, effective receiver. Sailors, 5 catches out of the backfield. Ja'Cour Pearson, our guy, 6 catches, 83 yards. The Battlehawks put it down on the Roughnecks, 31-6. Thoughts, Tay? I do want to say too one more thing before we get in. I'll set you guys up. I saw there was a lot of people, United Football Media, people outside of it, Twitter. What are the Battlehawks really? Does this really even count? Do we really even know? Hey, we expected the Battlehawks to be a complete team, and they came out and they laid a whooping like a complete team should. They did what they were supposed to do. If you're a complete team, you go out and you whoop the hell out of the bad ones. And that's exactly what the Battlehawks did. So I don't think that's a fair thing to say. Oh, do we really know who they are? Yeah, they're loaded. They have a great roster. They went out there and they did what they're supposed to do. Well coached. That's what that means. Tay, thoughts on the opening night beatdown?
Yeah, the Battlehawks are still good. You know, even losing their quarterback, Most of the skill position players came back. Core Pearson had a great game. They had 3 players with a rushing touchdown. So it just couldn't be stopped. And really, they should have shut out the Roughnecks. They gave them a late touchdown for a couple minutes. Like, they honestly should have shut them out. But yeah, they completely dominated them. They looked like the best team out there. Honestly, you could say they had the best week of football. But yeah, Battlehawks definitely look scary. I think so. But yeah, the Battlehawks definitely look scary. So I'm not gonna be picking against them too many weeks. But yeah, they completely dominated the Roughnecks.
True. What'd you think?
I mean, are we surprised? Like nobody's surprised. Like, they showed up, did what they're supposed to do, and I mean, complete dominance. But it's also like the Roughnecks. There's no hope. There's no hope. We kind of talked about this last week, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any hope for the Roughnecks. I saw nothing from this game that would give me any inkling of like, oh, this team, they'll be all right. You know, they'll be all right. No, I think it's over. I think it's a wrap. I think the season's going to go just like last season. And the Battlehawks, they do look scary, but it's like you look scary against the Roughnecks. So, you know, like there's a difference between looking scary against, I guess, the Defenders right now. I guess if you look scary when you go against the Defenders, then we can have that conversation. I can't believe I just said that. Never gonna do that again.
Buddy.
Never gonna do that again. Definitely not. But you know, if you can look scary against a team that can go out there and really get it done, then you got something. But when you go against a bad team, it's the same in any sport, right? When you go in there against a bad team, sometimes you can kind of lollygag, be like a daisical, take this team lightly and let them stick around. They did not do that, and that's what they were supposed to do. Battlehawks right now do look like the best team in the league, so we'll see how it goes on these upcoming weeks.
Next up, and this is, you know, that's the only reason I kind of raised my eyebrows when Tay said this is the team that had the best week, because to me, more impressive. I mean, we had a similar score. It was a little bit, actually, the margin was close by 1 point. The Renegades 33-9 over the runner-up San Antonio Brahmas, who a lot of us had ranked very high, who a lot of us thought very highly of. Not Tay, but a lot of us thought very highly of. And the Arlington Renegades absolutely laid a beat down on them. Luis Perez looked like Luis Perez. 80%. He didn't score any touchdowns, but he was moving the offense very efficiently. 80% completion, 164 yards, also ran for 18. The real standout here was this Arlington defense that looked excellent. All of the additions played up to what we expected them to do. And it was also the arrival. We talked about it last week. We said, when is Kalen Ballage going to be the guy who he was expected to be out of college? It's been 4 or 5 years. Didn't work out in the NFL. Didn't work out last year in the UFL. Well, it worked out on Saturday because Kalen Ballage was going crazy. He looked every bit the star that we've all expected him to be since he came out of college. 9 carries for 110 yards, 77-yarder that went to the house, doing a phenomenal job, looking like a star. The defense, like I said, playing great. Payne is back, doing his Donald Payne year in, year out, whacking people, leading that defense, doing a great job. Even now, the running game is rolling. The offense just looked extremely efficient against a team that I think we expected to have, if not the best defense, a top 3 defense. And Arlington was doing whatever they wanted in this game. Very impressive performance. To me, that puts them at number 1 at the power rankings because, yes, the Battlehawks looked dominant, but they did it against hapless Houston. Double H. On the other end, Arlington did this against the runners-up, a team that we all thought got better on defense. This is who Arlington did this to, and it was the same score margin. Whooped them. Did whatever they wanted on offense. To me, that was a more impressive performance. To me, Arlington's number 1. And this is, I think, you know, we've talked about it. This might just be the year that this is how this goes, right? We've talked so much about how Arlington lost all those close games and how things regressed to the mean. when you're on the bad side of all those kind of close games and it doesn't work out for you at the last second, the next year, often things turn around. You start making those extra plays. And we also talked about how Luis Perez and all the skill guys in the offensive line, this is their fourth year in the system. So they all know what's going on. They're ready to go. They were talking about in the broadcast how Perez got the team together for like OTAs, player directed OTAs. It wasn't part of the league. Perez did that to get them on the same page. So they were up and rolling into camp. This looks like it could be the year when things come together for this team the way we kind of expected it to last year, but it's another year down, another year of experience, a year of time when, all those games could have gone either way last year. You could have had a much different record for a very good team. This might be it. We might be on the way. They certainly made that statement on Saturday, putting a whooping on one of the teams that me and True, at least, expected to be one of the top 3 teams in the league. Tay, what do you think, man?
The Brahmas played exactly how I thought they would play.
There we go.
Yeah. The Renegades, they dominated. They played an excellent game. They really only had 1 turnover, and the big difference between last year and this year, they were able to run the ball. Their rusher wasn't Luis Perez with
they had
12
a dominant rushing game. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, they were able to run the ball, and then that helps. If you're able to run the ball, you can pass the ball. So they completely dominated that aspect of the game, and they're just too much for the Brahmas. The Brahmas really couldn't do anything. They couldn't come back. They could barely score. So yeah, props to the Renegades. They played a great game.
True. What do you got?
Utter shock, bewilderment, any other words in the dictionary that would say confused, just tack them on, especially if they're big words. But I didn't expect the Brahmas to look like that. And I think we talked about it. Like, this could be the year that the Renegades finally got over the hump a little bit, like after some struggles last season. They came out and was like, hey, y'all are not putting us in no late game, situations where we might be able to lose. Like, y'all not even getting that chance. And I was just disappointed in the Brahmas and how they played. It's like they could do nothing with them. And every season's different, though. And I think this is a prime example of every season is different, because we saw what the Brahmas looked like last year. We thought that they, improved on certain aspects. They came in and it didn't look like they improved on anything. Like, they regressed. Whereas the Renegades look like, arguably you could say they're the best team because of how they did it, and who they did it against. But maybe the Brahmas, that plus 1,500 from last year, maybe that's going to have to apply this year for the Brahmas as opposed to, last year. So, maybe, like, I hope last year wasn't fool's gold for them, but not the best start you want against the Renegades. So
one thing we talked about over and over throughout the offseason, do not assume Kellen Mond's going to come in here and just light this league up. Do not assume that Magoo's going to come back and be the same guy he was. Do not assume that Max Duggan's going to be running this offense down in St. Louis. All 3 of them things that didn't happen. Magoo was getting trash canned all game today and looked completely ineffective. Mond was doing Kellen Mond things. The types of people who had concerns about Kellen Mond, they all came true on Saturday. He did exactly the types of things that people were concerned about him doing. And then Max Duggan didn't even win the job, and Manny Wilkins looked great. So there it is. Our last game ended up being a little bit closer. There we go. I made True wait. I made a big smile.
It's not as enjoyable as it would have been if they got like completely washed, but okay.
So there we go. We talked about last week. We need these fans to show up. They could go to evening service. And True reminded me, that's the darkest thing that someone could do as a person, is attend a showboats game on a Sunday instead of go to church. That's Pearly Gates trouble right there. And they showed why. No, they didn't show why. Showboats with a decent performance today. I think there's some hope for the future. Some things came together that looked like they might gel later on in the season. They're dealing with losing their head coach at the last minute too. All those concerns that people supposedly had about the DC Defenders ended up coming true with Memphis, because there were times that they did look pretty disjuntled without the leadership of their head coach, who resigned for personal reasons. Which, by the way, I don't think that's a mark on the league. Just every situation is circumstantial. Reggie Barlow got a good offer, and we don't know what the deal is with Wesenhunt, so it's really not very nice of you to make any sort of judgment against the league depending on what is going on with Ken Wesenhunt. We don't know if it's a health thing with the family. We don't know what's going on with him. So I would just back off of that if any of you are commenting on that as if it's some sort of referendum on the league. But the Pants came in here. Mike Nolan, I'm going to need you to stop messing around with this quarterback situation. Bryce Perkins looked like a stud, looked like a star today, and you just kept taking him out. He was 85% completion, 163 yards, looked good on the ground rushing, 14 yards rushing, had a touchdown, had one of the most spectacular plays that we've seen this season so far with his touchdown run, breaking like 4 tackles. Seosa Mariner pitched in. The defense looked good. Frank Ginda trying to take over the role of the best linebacker in the league with 11 tackles and a sack. Woo! The Panthers were panthering, and I think if you can give Perkins some more time and some more development, keep him in the game, I think he could really develop into a big-time star in this league. It looked real good. Most of the drives he led. On the other side, Tay's guy, EJ Perry, man, he was trying. There was a touchdown in a pick. It's just how we was talking about it. It's like the Venom symbiote. Once you put on that Showboats uniform, the darkness just starts to seep in to your soul. It starts dragging you down. No. Be on the lookout for updates on this game. Captain's log later on this week. Our guy Brandon, our guy Webb, breaking down the more granular points of how they can get better, how there is hope. But right now we're going to evaluate what the game happened. And Tay, what are your thoughts?
The Showboats had to they got to pick a quarterback. I don't really think you should just be switching your quarterbacks like that. You have to
both sides.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, they won while doing it, and theirs wasn't as bad as the Showboats. I feel like it was every other possession. They just kept on switching quarterbacks. The end of the game, like I didn't know what was going on, but
they took turns throwing interceptions there for a minute.
Yeah,
One threw an interception. They put the other guy in, and then he threw an interception. Come on.
Right. Yeah, but Jonathan Adams had a pretty good game, 93 receiving yards for the Showboats. That was definitely the bright spot for them, but I mean, 26-12, that's a 2-possession game. Score makes it look worse than what it really was, because they could have won the game. They definitely had opportunity.
Yeah, they were driving to try and win.
Yeah. But I don't know, they just couldn't score. They really didn't play all that well. They couldn't score. They were there until the end, but I don't know, they just couldn't figure it out. They just couldn't figure it out on offense. Like I think it's them changing quarterbacks. I think next week they need to go with one, whoever they liked more from this week, and then just go from there.
Like they said, the real quick, the score was not as bad as it makes you think. It was 20-12 with Showboats driving, trying to tie it up.
Right.
Pick six got thrown. True. How you feeling about today's?
Not entirely great, because I wanted to see the score that the Roughnecks had against Battlehawks. That's what I wanted
to continue the trend of the weekend. Yeah.
I wanted to see that, and I was a little disappointed. So Panthers, you owe me a fade for that, but it's all good. It's all right. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. So the Showboats could actually won. So since that didn't happen, I'm okay. I will say for the Showboats, there's like a few things you can kind of build off of from that game. Just maybe not throwing a pick six when trying to tie the game. That would be nice. I don't know if I saw anything from the quarterbacks that made me go, this is the guy. And I think that might be their concern going forward, is they saw nothing that would be like, okay, this is the guy. You didn't like nobody showed me anything. Nobody showed that I wouldn't, look at the coaches and be like, hey, do we, so there's a tough decision I think they have on their hands, but there's some bright spots there. Hopefully none of those bright spots actually manifest into anything the rest of the season and they continue to lose and they go completely, get no wins. They go 0-10. I'd love that. So I think, I would totally love them to just not get any wins at all, but
might be a step on the road to that next week.
I take that back. I take that back. They'll beat someone. They'll beat someone who they don't need to be named. They're just like not even a real team. So no, I think, like I said, I think the showboats, you might want to try to build off of something. For the Panthers, you won, played a solid enough game to win. Definitely some room for improvement for them, but at the end of the day, you got the W. And it doesn't always have to look pretty. It doesn't always have to be, 33 to 6 or, whatever. You get the W, and it's the first week. So you get a W. I mean, the defenders and the Stallions, that wasn't a high scoring game. It was to me, it was a test of wills between two teams that, and see who wanted it more. And that's what we could hope for, games like that going forward. But it's the first week. So, everybody, definitely some rustiness. Roughnecks, definitely some rustiness. Brahmas, definitely some rustiness. But for the showboats, they had nothing really to build off of. So you can kind of take this and see little areas where you can improve. And same thing for the Panthers, because they got something. But once again, you beat the Roughnecks. And also you beat the showboats. See, I'm getting them confused. They both stink. So yeah, you beat the team, like one of the two worst teams in the league. So whoop-de-doo.
Well, next week they will not be playing one of the worst two teams in the league. It's already a big matchup because Birmingham has zero interest whatsoever in starting off 0-2. They're going to what we think is a pretty solid, pretty complete team who wants to stand up to them in that division, the Michigan Panthers. It's our 8:00 primetime Friday night matchup at Ford Field up there in Detroit, 8:00 on Fox Eastern Time. Birmingham going to Michigan. That thing's going to be a battle. And as much as I liked what I saw out of Michigan today, I cannot see Skip Holtz, this system, this team, this infrastructure thing. I just cannot see Birmingham starting off 0-2. So I'm going to go with Birmingham for now, even though I did not see much of that out of that offense. And I would posit that the Detroit defense is right up there with the DC Defender defense as being one of the better defenses in the league. So I don't feel great about it. I do not feel great about it, but I'm going to go Birmingham over Michigan next week. What do you think, Tay?
I feel pretty good about taking Birmingham over
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Panthers just had like an easier game. I don't see the Stallions losing 2 in a row, honestly. I think they were just rusty. So yeah, I'll go with the Stallions on the road.
True thoughts.
3 for 3. Don't see the Stallions losing 2 in a row, and this is a team with championship pedigree, regardless. And it's always how you respond after you take a tough L. And it wasn't like they got blown out or anything. It was a tough game.
It looked like they might win at the end. It was a hell of a game. Yep.
Yeah, so I think they'll be motivated, come out, get the W.
Oh, Saturday night. It's going to be a good one. It's a shame, True, you're not still in Baltimore. So I might have had you might have had to come over to the house for this one because it's Saturday night. The new look Memphis Showboats are coming in to Rowdy Audi for a Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, that hurts.
Oh, boy.
That hurts not being in the area anymore. I would have loved to see that destruction.
Gonna be a good You know what? I'm not going to stunt too hard because that's what people, Birmingham was doing to DC last week, and Memphis did not look awful. They certainly didn't look like the Roughnecks did. So I'd still say there's definitely a solid element of danger. I think we'll go 3 for 3 here, a 3-pick 3 here. Confident in DC coming out and making it happen, but who knows? Maybe they're feeling a little too good about themselves after this week's win over Birmingham. Maybe Memphis gels a little bit more in this week, and who knows? There's still an element of danger. I'm not going to laugh all the way to the bank on this, but definitely feeling good picking DC in a Saturday night. It's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a fun one with the crowd in that arena on a Saturday night. What do you think there, Tay?
Yeah, it could be a close game, but I didn't see enough from the showboats to pick them yet. So therefore, I'm gonna go with the defenders here. Maybe by like 10 points. Maybe I don't think it'll be a blowout. Like the showboats could play like a competitive game, but yeah, I think the defenders take it at home.
I was gonna go by 8, but okay, there you go. True. Go ahead.
That's a tough choice. I mean, honestly, I don't know who to pick. You can get your switches, you can get your belts, because it's gonna be a whooping. And Rowdy it's gonna be a whooping. I got the defenders by at least
paddle.
2 scores. Yeah, I didn't want to go too deep. Yeah, I didn't want to go too deep into the whooping manual and relive any rough memories. But I say 2 scores at least. Defenders by 2 scores at least. What I saw from their defense, the showboats ain't got nothing. I just think their defense, if the defenders are riding high, you want to continue that momentum. But once again, as I said, with the defenders, they do have a tendency to let me down if I ever believe in them. So, but because it's the showboats, there's no way I'm going to give the showboats anything more than 2 scores, 2-score difference. So go by 2 scores, and that's me being generous. I hope
it's important, man. This short season, 2-0. 2-0 is a big deal. 2-0 is a huge deal. So, I'll be intense. I'll be locked in next Saturday night watching that game. Our 2 Sunday matchups, noon, Houston at Arlington. Oh my goodness gracious.
Do we even really need to discuss and go through this one? Just like everybody raised their hand and go choose Arlington to win this game. Like, I think we need, just.
I need to be a guest on Roughnecks Rundown. Me and Ace, we're gonna get like a map out. We're gonna draw up plans. Like this is the path. This is the way that we could draw blood here. The Roughnecks got to start Nolan Henderson, man. They have to. It's the only thing that I saw that was even remotely positive. That could put up any kind of a fight. I mean, Arlington chewed through and did whatever they wanted. Maybe Arlington complacency. You get Nolan Henderson out there. You got Arlington feeling good about themselves. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going Arlington and probably by 10 plus. What do you think, Tay?
Nah, I got Arlington by 25. I'm not. This is not. They're gonna blow them out like just like they
35-6, huh?
Something like that. It's gonna be a blowout. The Roughnecks they're just not a good team. They're not a good team, and I think the Renegades are legit. And this will definitely put them on the map if they blow out the Renegades. I mean, the Renegades blow out the Roughnecks. It'll definitely people will take them more serious. So yeah, I got the Renegades making a statement win against the Roughnecks.
Go ahead and make your pick true, and I got something to ask you.
I mean, you at least 2 scores. That's all. And I ain't gotta say who I'm picking because I ain't picking the Roughnecks. So are
we gonna see if it looks the way it looks last week in every way? Are we gonna see our first? Because the league owns the team, so the league hires all the coaches and all the FOs. Are we gonna see the first? Should we be seeing the first instance of the league maybe nudging somebody towards the door with that Roughnecks coach? Yes,
yeah.
no hesitation.
They're not doing. they just keep like losing. It's been last year, and they look like the same exact team. I mean, it's just still early.
It ain't just that. It's the misuse of time. They just look unprepared.
Yeah,
the misuse of timeouts. It's Nolan Henderson was the guy, and then Anthony Brown looked good in the last week of walkthroughs, and so he got put into the starter, and then was awful, and they had no chance. Like, yeah, because it shouldn't be that bad, man. And a team with in a league with 8 teams should not be that bad.
right.
Where they're not just bad, but they're getting whipped every year. The talent difference should not be that big of a gap year to year. I don't know, man. And then the final game, 6:30 Eastern. Woo, fellers, we're going to be recording a late episode that night. Going to take it back to the old DAR days. Me and True used to record at 11 o'clock at night.
It might have to be 11 o'clock at night, depending on Sunday. For me, it might be. Yeah.
San Antonio at St. Louis. Oh boy, 6:30 in the evening, Sunday nightcap. It's on FS1, by the way. Everybody listen to this who wants to tune in, so there's no confusion. FS1, 6:30 Eastern. San Antonio at St. Louis. This is kind of, to me, this is another one, kind of like the first game of the weekend. It's kind of a make it or break it. You don't want to start 0-2, but the Battlehawks look so fantastic, phenomenal, and the Brahmas did not. This is a little bit, I'll be interested to listen to, obviously, our guys down there in the cow pasture, Josh and producer on Brahma Beatdown. What am I trying to say? On the San Antonio Brahma show down there.
The bullpen?
The Brahma bullpen down on the cow pasture. I'll be very interested to see what they got to say about this week and then the week coming up. This is a little bit of a panic button situation, because you are staring down 0-2, and you are playing the team that arguably looked the best in week 1, other than the team that whooped the hell out of you in week 1. So this is tough. I can't, from what I have seen, I cannot pick them. I got to go with the Battlehawks at home in a nightcap showcase. What do you got there, Tay?
Yeah, I got the Battlehawks at home. Just don't really believe in the Brahmas. Had a rough week 1. I think they'll have a rough week 2. So, yeah, the Battlehawks just played great. Just overall offense, defense, like everyone played their part in their week 1, and I think they're one of the best teams in the league. So, yeah, I think the Battlehawks definitely take advantage of this one. And they start the season 2-0.
And the Brahmas 0-2. True. What's your pick, man?
Going Battlehawks. Got to go with my eye saw and what I watched. So I'm going Battlehawks.
It's a big hill to climb for the Brahmas. It ain't going to be a big hill to climb to pick out who you want to watch for your spring football media coverage. The United Football Media is number 1 in that regard. So check out all the shows. Roughneck Rundown. He'll be talking about that. Our man Ace. Good stuff. Captain's Log. We already mentioned it. Brandon and Webb. Double captains trying to make sense of what we saw out of the boats this weekend and what they're going to do against DC and Rowdy Audi in a nighttime Saturday night game coming up. Brahma bullpen, like we just discussed, going to be a very interesting episode this week. Staring down 0-2 against the big time Battlehawks and what happened to them this week. And then I believe I saw our Battlehawks guy. He posted in the group chat. I think the show's coming back. Battlehawk Nation, so get ready for that. The Callcast coming back soon. The PAWD, the podcast, the Michigan Panthers podcast. Be interesting to hear what he says about this quarterback situation, the rotation, and what they're going to do with this Birmingham Stallions. What happened this week? They're a dangerous team. They're wounded. They're probably frustrated with how they look this week, and they're still down 0-2. So it's a big time matchup on Friday night. We'll be interested to see what the PAWD podcast has to say about that. We, of course, are the DAR Sports Media team. Just put that up there on YouTube after you check out all the shows here on United Football Media. DAR Sports Media. We cover combat sports, the NBA, and the NFL, and college football. Right now, we are digging into the NBA playoffs, and we are digging into the NFL draft. We're putting up tight ends and wide receivers this week. digging into those categories. Please do be warned, we do get up to some cussing over on our page, unlike the family-friendly, made-to-consume product that we got over here on the United Football Media. All that and more, be on the lookout. This is the United Football Media. Tell me about it.